Y'all know nothing about this. You need to pay attention. Sit back and relax. It's time for Goodall's Country Kitchen.
We're here in downtown Glasgow, Kentucky. I'm here for several reasons, but before I get into that, I want to let you know I got my attaché, my daughter, Mary Goodall, with me. Wanted to come along on the big adventure today. We're going to cover a lot of territory, so bear with me. First of all, I got to thank my viewers. Crossed over 5 million views last week, which comparatively to other big YouTubers, that's a small number. But for me, when I started out basically just doing home movies with the kids, I never dreamed in a million years that I would have millions of views. So I want to thank you all for that. You've actually changed my life. Last year was a pretty rough year for me, and you all actually helped me through it. So I got to thank you all. Also, congratulations again to Ryan and Jay. Their YouTube channel, Keep It Cool with Sheets, just got monetized last week. They did it in less than 3 months. I didn't get monetized for 2.5 years. So those guys are killing it. Jay and Ryan, y'all doing a great job, and thank you all, my viewers that have subscribed and support them now. Couple thank you shout outs. I got Bill Higdon, sent $25. Bill North, faithful and true, sent another $25. And also, we're going to be going on vacation Sunday. We're leaving. We're going to Naples, Florida, and then the island of Bimini in the Bahamas. I'm going to be doing a big review in Bimini, several local places that I've been to before there in Bimini. I used to go there back in the 90s. Of course, I won't be retelling many stories that took place back in those days, but I know where the good food is. So stay tuned for that. Now to the point of business. We're at Big Guy's BBQ. The reason I'm here is because they are known for their Monroe County sliced shoulder plate, which you've seen other reviews I did at R&S Barbecue in Tompkinsville and Smoky Pig Barbecue in Bowling Green. Sliced shoulder plate is my favorite barbecue of all time. So when I was coming here and I saw that they had shoulder plate, I had to come. After this, we're going to be leaving. We're going to go to a Kentucky tourism convention here in town. That's another thing that led me here. I'll maybe show you some footage of that. I don't really know what all is going to go on there today, but I'll fill you in on that. All right, I'm going to show you around the place, but I just saw a young man pulling fresh baked cookies out of the oven. Everything's fresh, homemade here. I got the smoking pit out on the side, fountain cokes, which are a big hit with me. Small dining room. My attaché has already reserved us a table over here, right underneath my favorite friend. Okay, simple menu, which you know I like. They have the shoulder plates, chicken, pulled pork, kids plates, and there's your sides. It's real simple. That's where I like it. Do a few things good instead of a lot of things mediocre. But here's the second reason I was drawn here besides having the shoulder plate. It's called Big Man BBQ. If you have a restaurant called Big Man BBQ, you better be putting out farm-sized portions for fat guys like me. Well, Mary got the pulled pork plate, which comes with a bun. You make sandwiches, but it's a dinner plate, so it comes with more than just a sandwich worth of pulled pork. You can see there, you could probably make 3 sandwiches out of that. And then, Mary, you mind if I get a fry? Good fries. Instead of barbecue sauce, Mary prefers ketchup, which I ain't gonna hate because a lot of barbecue sauces are primarily made with ketchup and then some brown sugar and things added to it. What do you think of it, Mary?
It's really good.
All right, so you already knew I was getting the shoulder plate. I got the 3-piece shoulder plate. The one difference between this and what I had in Tompkinsville a few months ago is they don't pre-dip this when they put it on a plate. You get the dip on the side. They got hot and mild dip, but I said, what's the hottest? They went in the back and they got the extra hot dip, which you know I've got to have. Also, I asked what their best sides were. They said the most popular ones are the hash brown casserole. What fat guy wouldn't like hash brown casserole? Baked beans and their mayo slaw. They said they got the vinegar slaw, but they said that the mayo slaw is the most popular. All right. We'll just go ahead and start in. Most people would probably use a knife and a fork to eat this pork shoulder. But as you know, I'm a Viking. I can tell that's fresh off the pit. It looks like they dry rub it while they're grilling it. Before I start on my sides, Mary, you mind if I taste your green beans? I only took one. Those are really good, seasoned good too. All right. So this shoulder is excellent. Tender, like cotton candy. Louisvillians, y'all don't know nothing about this shoulder plate. All right. Now I'm going to taste these sides. Anytime I get a hash brown casserole, it reminds me of Melissa's grandmother, Mary Carabo. She was famous for her hash brown casserole. You know what? I want to taste it without any accompaniment yet. But as you know, I always come prepared. Amazing grace. I'm going to accentuate it with some grace. Mary's giving me a mean look again because she wants some of this casserole. I didn't put the hot sauce on half, Mary. Okay? Man, you should have seen the look she just gave me. You ain't going to find much better casserole than that. Now, the house-made baked beans. All their sides are made from scratch. Excellent, good, smoky baked beans. Love them. Now, and these sides ain't skimpy. Like I said, when they call themselves Big Man BBQ, you ain't going to be getting no skimpy portions. There's that mayonnaise slaw I was telling you about. That's excellent. All right, I've already nailed 2 of my slices of my shoulder. Going on number 3 here. If you like barbecue, you cannot say you had the best barbecue until you've tried Monroe County Style pork shoulders. Different than anything else you've ever had. With the recent storms we've just had, you need to pay attention to this next ad because Morley Roofing services all over the Kentuckiana area and even down here in western central Kentucky. Honest, dependable. Watch this ad. All right, storm season is upon us, as you know, and you're going to be needing a good roofer. That's why I'm here today, tell you about Morley Roofing. Been in business since 1981. The owner, Kevin Morley, he stands by his work, and you will need no money down. And if you mention this ad, it's a 22% discount on your out-of-pocket expense.
If your roof looks poorly, call Morley.
If you're wondering if I liked it or not, there's your V for victory. And you see, I made short work of the sides here. Nothing left but that extra hot dip, which I cannot let that go to waste. They give you a couple pieces of white bread. And I saved a piece just for this. All right, couldn't pass up dessert. Homemade pecan pie. What do you think? 2 thumbs up. All right. And I got the cookie, chocolate chip. You saw fresh out of the oven. And it's still hot. Look at that. Just loaded with chocolate chips. So rich. I forgot to order a tall, cold glass of milk. It's the only thing that could make this thing better. All right, before I get out of here, the owner just brought me a sample of their pulled chicken, smoked chicken, fresh off the pit. Oh, now that's got a unique flavor that I haven't tasted in any pulled chicken, smoked chicken before. It's got some kind of spice in the rub or dip or something. Very unique. I might have to see what their secret is. All right, be right back. Well, when I first got here, I was the only person here. Since then, this place is packed and they got carry-out orders going right and left. So, as I said, this is definitely worth going out of your way for if you're headed south on 65. If you want to try some of that sliced pork shoulder, Monroe County style, come on over to Glasgow. It's just 10 minutes from Cave City. Come on over, right in the middle of cave country. That's what brings me here today, because I'm going to a convention with Mammoth Cave Tourism, Kentucky Tourism, and I was invited to come as a social media influencer. So I'm going to be hobnobbing around with some of the local business owners. Hopefully get something out of it and be back down here again soon. But stick around, because I'm going to have a Civil War tour here in Glasgow, Civil War actions that took place here in the Glasgow area. So you don't want to miss that. These are hidden facts that you won't find in history books. So you might want to pay attention. You could spend a whole day here just touring around the town, studying Civil War history. And then, of course, we got all the caves and all that stuff in the area. I'll be coming back this summer at some point, doing a big video on the Cave City area. Going to bring the family here. But anyway, we're going to get down the street to this convention and see what we can get into there. This is Kentucky Tourism, sponsored by Kentucky Caveland Association. We have different representatives here from this county and surrounding counties. So I'm going to go around to each table, and it's like a meet and greet with all the different representatives here. It should be interesting.
There's a non-alcoholic drink.
Right there. What's it taste like?
Like kiwi.
Oh yeah. Nice little swag bag. All right, I'm here at the Barron County Courthouse, the county seat here in Barron County. I want to tell you all a little bit today about some Civil War actions that took place here in the Glasgow area. To start with, I go into the first Confederate invasion of Kentucky, which was led by General Braxton Bragg. When he was on his way out of Tennessee into Kentucky, he actually headquartered here, preceding the battles of Munfordville and Perryville, which you can check out my review I did at Perryville if you want to learn more about the Kentucky invasion of 1862. But anyway, Bragg headquartered here in the weeks leading up to the Battle of Munfordville and Perryville. The Confederate Army had to rely on supplies around the countrysides and the farms because they were way out of their supply line. So while Bragg was here, he of course relieved the local farmers and mill owners of all their cattle, pigs, and corn supplies. He occupied this town for several days, headquartered here, and then they moved on up toward Munfordville. There were also a couple of other skirmishes that took place here, which I'll get into, and a lot of little known history took place here during the Civil War that you won't read about in the history books. Of course, behind me here, you see a statue memorializing dead Confederate soldiers. That became popular in all the courthouse squares around Kentucky. During the turn of the 20th century, around 1900, the Daughters of the Confederacy erected a lot of these statues in front of all the courthouses. Ironically, one of the favorite things Confederates like to do when they would invade into Kentucky is burn all the courthouses, because most of the time Union troops would use the courthouses and courthouse lawns for encampments. All right, we're going to move along, and I'm going to tell you about the next action that took place here in Glasgow. After Confederate General Braxton Bragg's unsuccessful raid in Kentucky, he dispatched Confederate General John Hunt Morgan with his cavalry force to move up from Alexandria, Tennessee into Kentucky in what would become later known as the Christmas Raid. John Hunt Morgan entered in Kentucky in mid-December and came into the area of Glasgow. He was encamped about 6 miles out of town. He sent a detachment under Captain Thomas Quirk to surveillance and determine whether or not there were any Union troops in the area. So on the Christmas Eve of 1862, Captain Quirk and his men came into town, but there was also a tavern that they all decided that they were going to celebrate Christmas Eve. Well, at the same time, you had a detachment of the 2nd Michigan Cavalry Union that was in town for the same reason. As it turns out, both Confederates and Union were both intending on going to the tavern and met right in the middle of downtown Glasgow, where a street fight broke out, shooting street to street, hand to hand. It was nighttime. The troops were intermingled and confused, and after a pretty sharp fight, the Union detachment of the 2nd Michigan retreated toward Munfordville. I believe, if memory serves correct, the Confederates captured about 15 Union soldiers and killed several. They occupied the town, and as I think they relieved the bank of several $1,000s while they were here. And then Morgan moved on over toward Bardstown and captured Elizabethtown. His assignment from Bragg was to cut the communications and railroad bridges at Muldraw Hill. He was trying to cut the supply line to Buell's army that was now in Tennessee. Morgan did everything that was expected of him, tore up all the railroads, captured all the Union garrisons between here and E-Town. It was determined to be Morgan's most successful raid. Here's something you don't see very often. It's a mountain howitzer. Usually cavalry units had an artillery battery that carried several of these with them. in the spring of 1863, Departmental Commander of the Union Forces in Kentucky, Jeremiah Boyle, he ordered fortifications be erected in all the different counties of Kentucky, particularly close to the county courthouses, to try to deter Confederate cavalry forces from coming and raiding the courthouses and burning them and looting the towns. Union forces of the 37th Kentucky Mounted Infantry were stationed here at what would be later called Fort William. It was a newly constructed fort. On October 6th, 1863, a significant action took place here, and I will tell you more about that when we get inside the fort. Okay, this is kind of a unique fort. It's not a real big fort. It would actually be called a redoubt, which would be a fort built big enough for an artillery battery. It has, I think, 8 gun emplacements. Unfortunately for the 37th Kentucky Mounted Infantry Union, they didn't happen to have any artillery pieces here on October 6th, which would end up leading to a very harsh defeat. Fort Williams was actually named after Union General Thomas Williams, who had been killed early on in the war down in Louisiana at the Battle of Baton Rouge. As they built the fort and had the battle here in October of '63, it hadn't been named yet. As you see here, we have an example of a commonly used cannon here. This is a 10-pound Napoleon, manufactured pre-war. Sits right in the middle of Glasgow Municipal Cemetery. The town cemetery. And there was a cemetery here at that time, which the Union troops were encamped next to the cemetery and around this fort. On the afternoon of October 6th, Confederate forces under command of Colonel John Hughes and the 25th Tennessee Infantry entered into town. The Union forces, the 37th Kentucky Mounted Infantry, were completely caught off guard. There were some of the forces that were in the town square, and then some of the forces were up here in the fort. Unfortunately, the forces in the town square were quickly overcome. I don't even believe a shot was fired at that point, and all the forces in the town were captured. The forces remaining up the hill from town here at Fort Williams did put up a fight initially, but it didn't last long because they were totally surprised. There were no guns in the gun emplacements. The guns that would later be put here were not here till months later, and of course, they could offer no help on October 6th. Colonel Hughes took 150 prisoners of the 400 members of the 37th Kentucky Mounted Infantry. And of course, they relieved the local bank of about $9,000, also on their way out of town. Very significant Civil War actions took place here in Glasgow.
Can we go eat now? Why do you look like that?
Another unique feature about Fort Williams is how well it's preserved. I've been to many different battlefields around the United States. This is actually one of the most pristine and well-preserved forts that I've ever been to. And it's very beautiful, it's well kept, and of course it overlooks downtown Glasgow, which was the strategic significance of why they built the fort here on a hilltop that could overlook and see from a 360-degree perimeter around the whole incoming area around Glasgow. And y'all don't know nothing about this big man barbecue.
Now you know the facts of why I'm on a mission. You're always welcome back to Goodall's Country Kitchen.